He gonna hit that music, and D Stanfield gonna lead the charge. All right,
we out here. TODT live. Y'all know what it is. D Stanfield, the professional.
Fact.
Andre the Torch Robinson. We in the building, man. Got a jam-packed show for y'all tonight. It's time to touch on Jussie once again. We touched on him about 2 weeks ago. Saw right through the foolishness. I didn't want to continue to dwell on it, but it's time to retouch on that. Pause. We're going to talk about R. Kelly. We're going to talk about Robert Kraft and the solicitation. Shout out to Fresh Perspective. Shout out to Rise Up Sports. It's about that time, baby. It's glad to be back.
Definitely.
That's right. We here. What's up, Drake?
What's good? What's good?
What's going on?
They already know what it is, D. They know what it is. They know what time it is.
It's good to be back in the building.
Super excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a jam-packed show tonight, man. Without further ado, because we on limited time, well, at least I'm on limited time. I know Rise Up is coming up right after TODT. Let's make sure y'all tune in. Right after TODT at 1 a.m., we're going to Rise Up family, Rise Up Sports. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, because after this broadcast, we're going right into Rise Up. All right, so Dre, man, it's been a jam-packed week. Actually, it's been a crazy last 2 weeks. We went from let's go back to the very beginning. We went from the release of the Surviving R. Kelly story that came on Lifetime to the Jussie Smollett assault, alleged assault,
for sure,
which we discussed on the very first TODT live. And if you got comments, if you got questions, if you just want to voice your concerns, go ahead and put it in the comments section. You can put it in the comments section on Rise Up. You can put it in the comments section on TODT Live. But we here, go ahead and drop. This is Talk of the Town. If y'all don't know what TODT stands for, it's Talk of the Town. That means it's your voice that we going off of. You know what I'm saying? We out here talking, but we want to hear y'all. So, we went to the Jussie Smollett alleged assault. We talked about it. We thought we saw right through it. And as it turns out, that was the case because as of last week, Jussie Smollett has been indicted on false charges filed and has been arrested. But he wasn't the only one, because yesterday, was it day before yesterday, R. Kelly was indicted indicted on 10 counts of, I want to say, sexual. What was it? Sexual
misconduct.
Sexual misconduct. And then the very next day, our very own newly adopted Robert Kraft, Mr. I Want to Dance on Stage with Cardi B and Get Meek Mill out of jail. Shout out to Robert Kraft, man. Appreciate everything that you do for the community. But he was arrested or indicted on charges of not only sex trafficking, but solicitation of prostitution. So I want to go ahead and touch on that, man. And we can start wherever you want. We got 3 stories that we can go off, Dre, but go ahead and give me what you think. Go ahead and give me your thoughts, man.
Yo, first and foremost, I want to start off with this Jussie Smollett situation. I want to start off by asking you a question. My first question is, do you feel like Jussie Smollett deserves jail time?
Man, I think Jussie Smollett, and I'm gonna echo some comments that were made by somebody that I follow a little bit online, Tariq Nasheed. I think Jussie Smollett deserves the same amount of jail time that they plan on giving the young lady that got Emmett Till killed because of her false allegations. The older lady, I should say, the 85-year-old lady that's sitting on her deathbed that got Emmett Till killed. I think that he should get the same jail time that she gets. In other words, I think that we should keep the same energy across the board. If we're going to crucify people for false allegations, then those crucifixions for lack of a better word, need to be consistent. The same thing that the same way that we going at the young lady that tried to make the fake rape allegation against Chris Brown. She's being prosecuted right now. So whatever charge, now she's getting prosecuted obviously in France, but whatever backlash and whatever criminal charges that we want to inflict upon Jussie Smollett, we should definitely give across the board, point blank period. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of people say the same sentiment as far as Jussie Smollett getting some jail time. Here's how I feel about it in a nutshell. I don't think he should, and the reason why I don't think he should is because unless now we talk about let's talk about the premise first. The premise is that he falsified information,
right,
and that he made it seem like a hate crime was committed.
Absolutely.
Well, here's another question for you: Is rape a hate crime? Yes or no?
It can be. Yeah, it can be.
Okay. So now that you just said that rape can be a hate crime, my question is, well, it's not really a question now. It's a comment. My comment is, until you go back and get all those people who falsified their rape allegations and they see some jail time, until they see some jail time, Jussie Smollett don't need to be seeing no jail time. Straight up, point blank, period. Because there's people who have went to jail for long periods of time based on fake rape allegations. And these folks who made the allegations have never seen a minute, a second, a jail time, point blank, period. And until the law is all the way just, because you can't have justice without the word just. If it's not just, then it ain't justice, straight up. And until that law reform is all the way across the board, then he shouldn't deserve jail time. You can fine him. You can fine him. You can keep him away from the entertainment business. I'm sure he done lost his career now, but until then it's a no for me.
And not to cut you off, but just to piggyback on what you just said. I live in Atlanta, work in Atlanta,
Thanks.
And you just touched on something that is very, very personal for not only me, but a lot of people that live here in Atlanta. Because you remember the guy Brian Blanks?
Yes.
Went to jail for 28 years on a false rape allegation, was released, got a trial with the Atlanta Falcons. They gave him some reparation money for going to jail in the first place, as if that is supposed to revive him and replace the time that he missed out here. I can't, like, I echo those sentiments 100% whatsoever. And shout out to Brian Blanks, man. He's still doing stuff in the community. He's still he's actually out here basically living his best life, man, now that he's out here in the streets. But yeah, absolutely. And here's something that here's a sentiment that we probably should place on the general society. And I want to be very, very cautious about I want to be cautious about how I proceed when I say this. Brian Blanks did not prosecute this young lady criminally that had the false allegation. So he took it upon himself to basically have a level of grace and mercy and class that neither she nor our American justice system had for him. How much, how much more of a great person do you need to set an example when it comes to situations like that than what Brian did in that situation? And I said I was going to proceed with caution on that, because all too often, and I agree with this, we put out this narrative that Black people are the most forgiving people on earth, and I think it's true. I think that we do need to learn how to hold people accountable, but accountable to what end? That's I believe that's the question that we really need to ask.
I like it. You got a lot of comments. You want to hear some of these comments?
Absolutely.
All right. So first and foremost, we have R. Kelly indicted for being a damn fool, said Adrian Walter. Ron Enoch said, I didn't know Aaliyah was 15 when R. Kelly tried to marry her. As far as Jussie, he said about jail time, but definitely a serious fine and misdemeanor comment.
Okay, I'm with that.
And then Spencer said Jussie won't see jail time.
So Luke said Jussie won't see jail. He said he won't see jail time.
Said he won't see jail time, but he owes serious compensation to a charity or families of those he used. Yeah.
Okay.
So jail time.
So let me say this. Let me put this out.
Trisha Joy said he goes to jail. If not, he.
That's an interesting take. Let me say this. Be very careful about how you proceed when you talk about this ordeal. And I did want to touch on the R. Kelly thing next, but about the Jussie Smollett thing. I don't want. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily want Jussie to go to jail, and I have my own thoughts. I have my own thoughts about these things. I've talked to people that that are in Chicago that have run across this guy. I listened to Sirius XM, and they had somebody call in who knows Jussie personally, who echoed our sentiments that we didn't believe his story from the jump. I would be cautious to not give him jail time on the front that, you know how you got all of these, and I'll just say people out here making false allegations against African Americans, like Starbucks and like these business establishments, making allegations as if Black people are out here being disruptive. You had the young lady that said that the Black child touched her butt in the grocery store. But when you saw the camera footage, it did nothing of the such. I mean, you got all, and then you got the lady that was habitually calling the cops on Black people. I would say I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't want him to have any jail time, for the sake that I want it to be across the board, because these same people, I want them to be held accountable in the same manner. Do I think he should see anything more than 30 to 60 or 90 days? Absolutely not. But just to be clear, and you brought this to my attention, Dre, this ain't the first time he done lied to the cops.
Right. I did.
So I mean, for this to be his second offense, technically, maybe he do need to sit in jail for 30 days or 15 days or 24 hours just so he can see what it's like to actually be in that lifestyle, in that system. And that's my take.
You know, it may be more common. Why are we using other people's cases to feel sorry for him? I just want to get this clear. Trisha, we're not feeling sorry for him because first and foremost, he's a fucking idiot. And I'm sorry for saying it the way I just said it, but I mean exactly what the hell I just said. He's an idiot, flat out. You don't push a false narrative to make it as truth. You just don't do it. I've been having this conversation about pushing false narratives and trying to make people feel that it's truth. It's not. And he's wrong for doing that. Totally. If he sit in jail, then he sit in jail. Hey, I'm just saying that if we're going to talk about just and what's justice, then we need to fix the reform on the law.
Well, let me ask
you. If you're going to send this guy to jail, for something that ultimately got him a black eye, he the one with the black eye. He the one that got beat up. I mean, if you're going to send this guy to jail, you need to go find every other goddamn false accuser that accused somebody of rape, you need to go find them, and then you need to go put jail time on them, because then that is just. Until it is that way all the way across the board, this is not justice, man.
So let me ask you this, Trey.
This is you know what this is, and I'm gonna just be honest. This is throwing somebody under the ringer to set an example, to make an example of.
Let me ask you a question, Jerry.
Go ahead.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he did not stage this attack on his own. Let's say, for the sake of argument, he was being extorted, and he had to use this attack to get out of a situation. Then what? Because the speculation that I got from both listening to the story on Sirius XM and from what I've heard through conversation was that one of the gentlemen that staged the attack, he was involved with, and those people were also involved in the show, and they were, I'll just say, in need of money. And what if Jussie was being extorted? Because here's the thing. As much of this evidence that is already out there, him and his lawyer still holding true to the fact that he had nothing to do with it. So I won't say he didn't have anything to do with it, but if he was being extorted and he was put into a corner, should we have any sympathy for him?
Nah, ain't no sympathy. I want people to stop thinking, because what I'm saying as far as justice and being just, that the word just and sympathy is in the same vocabulary or in the same sentence of my sentiment. My sentiment still stands as is. I'm not saying this man don't deserve to be held responsible. He does. He's an idiot and a jackass. But at the same token, the fact still remains that people make false sentiments every day and don't see a damn minute of jail time. And I'm talking about in worse cases than these.
That's a fact.
You just gave the perfect example. A man 28 years for something he never did. That person never saw a minute of jail time.
That's a fact.
Why should he have to press charges on her? No, it's false. This is the law. But he been like, you know what? We locking you up. This person spent 28 years in jail. You gonna spend some jail time now. I'm not gonna wait for the person who just was victim of false bullshit to say, oh, let's press charges. Come on, man. That's bullshit.
Okay.
That's bullshit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's move on, man. Let's move on to the next story.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get it. Can we get to Robert Kraft?
Let's save Robert Kraft for the end, man. I know it's some personal sentiments there, but before we get to Robert Kraft, let's get to another Robert. Let's talk about Robert Kelly, man. So Robert Kelly, aka R. Kelly, aka your girlfriend's favorite R&B artist for the one night stand and for the Netflix and chill. R. Kelly was indicted this week on 10 counts of sexual misconduct. Yesterday evening, he turned himself in, been fully cooperative with authorities because he feels like he has done nothing wrong here. So I have a few sentiments on this. I have a few areas where my opinion I feel like would be unforgiving, if you will. So here's my thing about Robert Kraft. About R. Kelly. First of all, I was never a huge fan of R. Kelly. Contrary to the majority of people around the world. So I can't, as a musician, as a person who came through from performing arts, a visual and performing arts school, I've had an appreciation for his choreography and his arrangements and stuff like that, but I've never really been a fan of Robert Kelly, R. Kelly, whatever you want to call this guy. I felt like there were too many things wrong with him personally, and a lot of his music just didn't appeal to me at all. Like, I've made many a R&B tape for me and whoever I was dealing with at the time, and I can probably count on one hand how many R. Kelly songs were on any of them CDs. But you know how that was back in the day.
Yeah. Come on.
So, with regard to the R. Kelly situation as a whole, none of this actually surprises me. And I gotta say, man, the city of Chicago is losing. I mean, right now, you got Jussie Smollett, you got R. Kelly. You still harping over the fact that Obama's not in office, even though he technically didn't do a whole lot for Black people as a whole. And then on top of that, you still got Kanye. So y'all really taking the L right now. And that's a shame because the city of Chicago is my favorite city. And it's also where my team, the Chicago Bears, are. So this is kind of like double hurting me right now. But with that being said, man, R. Kelly, after I watched the first 2 episodes of the Surviving R. Kelly scandal, man, I had nothing but I just kept saying to myself, he's gonna get arrested. They're gonna find a way to charge this guy. He needs to disappear and get out of the news, or he's gonna end up just like Bill Cosby. And just like Bill Cosby, the arrogant individual that he is, R. Kelly's ended up with the same plight. And rightfully so, because let me just tell you, a lot of my friends that are in the music industry and a lot of my friends that grew up in Chicago, the stories that I have been hearing, including the Neil Brennan story, including the Hannibal Buress story, including the Lil Rel story about dealing with him, dude, it's disgusting. It is absolutely atrocious, man. I'm not gonna say he needs to be thrown under the jail because I know that this is a money play, but I don't have words for how this has been handled as a whole from the very beginning to date. This should have been nipped in the bud a long time ago, and now that it's a money play, now people want to react is BS, and that's where I am on that. How about you, Dre?
I'm gonna say in the words of my new co-host from the Tip. By the way, from the Tip podcast, shout out to the informational podcast show, Natalie Brooks. Shout out to Deshaun Baldwin. Shout out to Kat. She said, while we sitting here talking about all this shit, R. Kelly and the whole 9 yards, you notice that all this shit is getting national media attention, right?
Yep.
I have not once heard yet about the ex-military dude who tried to plan a whole entire race war. Right up under our nose.
You're talking about the dude that got arrested on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, the guy who got arrested on Wednesday.
Yep.
You know, when I brung that up to my coworker had no idea about that situation. For that reason is why I find all of this to be fucking ridiculous. The media picks and chooses, and I don't want to get off topic, but the media picks and chooses what they want to spotlight and what they don't. We're gonna sit up here and spotlight R. Kelly and Jussie Smollett. But we're not gonna spotlight this dude who tried to plan a whole entire race war, ex-military, right up under our nose. No national media news on that though. We're not gonna talk about that.
Of course not. I mean, realistically, why would you talk about that? It's not something that's gonna last in the news. But this R. Kelly thing, this is gonna last in the news for a while. It's gonna create ratings for a while. The fact that the race war individual got arrested before anything happened. I'm pretty sure in the majority of Americans' minds and thoughts, they're saying, well, our great American justice system did their job and they thwarted them. So you guys should just be happy and move on. Nah, it don't work.
Nah, bro. Nah, it don't work like that. Nah, Chief, like that ain't how I go. That ain't how I go. Because
best believe, I can guarantee you that if anything like that happened with us, like remember the DC sniper?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if anything like that happened with us, that would be a lingering ordeal for the next decade.
Yeah, come on. And you know it. You know it flat out. That's the worst part. That's the worst part of the situation. You want to pick and choose. Come on, man. Cut it out. Cut it out, man. R. Kelly is a disgusting pig, and whatever happens to him, happens to him. At the same token, I will say, if like the little boy on the boondock said, when you see piss, I move. You want to get me started? my man Militant, Huey and his brother, his older brother, was like, "Yo, man, when I see piss, I move, man. What you talking about? I'll stand there and let it hit me."
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not.
That's crazy to me. But what he did, I'm telling you this, for whatever happened to R. Kelly is whatever happened to him, though. He's a fool. He been a fool. He been a goofy, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, he been a goofy. Because I can tell you right now, if that was your daughter or my daughter, brother, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Let me ask you a question, though. Do you not recall Master P saying the same thing? Shout out to Percy Miller, man, for keeping it real. Yeah, I mean, and he was one of the main ones saying that this entire ordeal was just a money play, just simply a money play to make sure that basically that these people got paid for their transgressions, especially. And I'm not one to be extra critical about how people parent their kids, but let's be 100% honest. Let's keep it a buck here, man. There's plenty of stuff that you could have done to prevent a lot of this stuff from happening to your child. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, miss me with the BS, bro.
Yeah, where the parents at? Yo, we need to be talking about where these parents at. Where the parents at?
You know where the parents at? They trying to get paid. You know exactly where the parents is at.
You trying to get paid, and you need to be paying attention to your kids. What you mean? Getting paid? You trying to get paid? Okay, you still look like a bad parent. I don't care how much money you get.
And gonna be, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, go ahead. Nah, don't stop now. Go ahead. Look at him.
Nope, go ahead. Not doing it. Nope, not doing it.
I said nope, not doing it.
Nope, you're not putting me in that corner. You're not gonna Smollett. You're not gonna Smollett me. Anyway,
come on.
Nope. All right, man. Moving on to the third topic, man. And I'm sorry that we short on time, man. Or I'm short on time, but like I said, Rise Up is coming up right after this 1 a.m. Rise Up family. Make sure y'all stand up.
Rise Up late night for sure. Let's go.
Robert Kraft, man. The other Robert in this story, man. Arrested on solicitation of prostitution and sex trafficking affiliation. I feel a certain type of way about Robert Kraft and his organization as a whole. A lot of people talking about how Robert Kraft is newly adopted into the Black community. He was on stage recently dancing with Cardi B. He was instrumental in helping Meek Mill get out of jail. He helped to rejuvenate Randy Moss's career. I should say him and his organization helped to rejuvenate Randy Moss's career by taking a chance on him, man. And so there's a lot of speculation that the reason why Robert Kraft is actually going through this indictment is because of his new affinity or his overall affinity for the African American community. And I found it quite hilarious that hours after Robert Kraft was indicted on these charges, our own POTUS took it upon himself to make a statement making sure that he was speaking to the exoneration of his good friend, Robert Kraft. So I am conflicted internally because I don't have an affinity for our great POTUS, although I have a level of respect for him and a great affinity for this country. So I'll leave that part at that. But with the Robert Kraft ordeal, man, I would just like to say we talked about it on Fresh Perspective. I don't condone any criminal activity whatsoever. However, I will say I do think that they are really stretching here. They're trying to put a chink in this man's armor, and I'm not sure if it will bother him one bit. But the news story came out today that he wasn't even the biggest person on the list. So I'm interested to see who else is on that list.
Oh, let's get to it, baby.
Go ahead, Dre.
First and foremost, organization could sink or swim. I don't give a damn. Quiet as kept. They could get in a paddle without a. They could get in a boat without a paddle, floating Schitt's Creek. I could care less. 8 Mile style, Eminem style. First and foremost. Secondly, this dude got caught more than once. They said they got video on this dude.
Yeah,
he got caught more than once. The man is at the massage parlors. Giving it up like he ain't got the 39-year-old girlfriend and he's 76 old ass bag. Like, what the hell are you doing, dude? First and foremost, come on, man. You got more money. You should have more common sense with that money. That didn't even make no sense. Secondly, they talking about a whole entire international ring.
Yeah.
They talking about a whole entire international ring. And they saying he's not even the biggest man on the list.
And little old Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah, right. Jupiter, Florida, by the way.
It must have been out of this world.
Literally. Yo. They saying he's not the biggest man on the list.
Yeah, they saying he's not the biggest name on the list. Yeah.
It's funny how you mentioned that a certain right out, not even hours later, to exonerate his good old friend. Wouldn't it be real interesting if number 45 is on that list? Because I have a small inkling suspicion that 45 might be on the list. I just got that small inkling feeling.
Let me tell you, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Grab you by the you know what.
Wow. Ron just said Roger Goodell was probably in the room right next to him. Wow.
Yo. Oh, if they talking about bigger players, I wouldn't even be shocked. I mean, we have seen Roger Goodell and Jerry Jones on his party bus together, right? We seen that before, right?
That is a fact.
I would be shocked. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. Listen, is the thing.
Let me say this, because we wind it down. Let me say this: if Robert Kraft's name is not the biggest name on the list, why is that the first name to get into the media?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, you know what, though? You know what? I'm actually kind of glad his name is in the media because cheating is always the theme with these dudes. By the way, I will put it out there that if he is guilty, if he found guilty on any of that shit, you know the NFL will have to sanction him.
Yeah, but so I asked that question. I asked the question this morning on Fresh Perspective. I said, do you think that he will lose draft picks or he will be fined? And it's almost certain that you're gonna have a fine. But I think that because you look at what they did to the Colts owner. I mean, they suspended this man from his own facility.
Right.
And fined him and put him in a drug and put him in a drug prevention program. Like, I mean, what you gonna do to Robert Kraft? What type of program you gonna put Robert Kraft, 78-year-old, behind it?
Yo, I got it. I mean, you put his ass in?
Yeah.
There's somewhere he gonna be pushing carts. That motherfucker could push him.
Okay.
That motherfucker do. He could push carts.
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that.
Not touching it.
Not touching it.
He not.
In no way, shape, or form either.
No way, shape, or form.
All right, man.
Yeah. I cannot wait till the next show, man.
Me either, man. We got to get these technical difficulties worked out, man. But it's good to get back online with you. It's good to have these conversations, man. I did want to touch on the presidential race in 2020, but I guess we'll save that for the next show. Got a lot of comments. Yo, Euro was stupid. He said every man. Yo, you wildin'. TODT does not condone any criminal acts, especially as it pertains to sex trafficking and
not at all.
Not at all. So, yo, with that being said, man, I did want to touch on the 2020 race, but we'll say that for the next show, man. Shout out to Rise Up family. Shout out to Fresh Perspective. Shout out to you, Dre, the Torch, man. This is D Stanfield, man.
Professional.
Second episode of TODT, man. Stay tuned, man. We gonna keep it going for y'all. Y'all have a good night, and please stay tuned for Rise Up. It's coming up next. Peace out.